It's Tuesday, June 3rd, and the St. Louis Cardinals are about to embark on a 3-game series here at Busch Stadium against the Kansas City Royals. They just saw the Royals not too long ago, about 2 weeks ago, across the state at Kauffman Stadium, but some big changes ahead for this Royals team. Starting last night, Jaylon Thompson from the Kansas City Star is our guest host today. He covers the Royals, does a fantastic job, and he's here to tell us about a big shakeup in Royals land. Jaylon, what's the news?
Well, Jac Caglianone is finally coming to the big leagues. That's right. He will be in the lineup on Tuesday as they play the Cardinals in the I-70 series. And it's like Christmas in June. So the Royals needed this. Jac Caglianone is a power hitter that has rival power close to Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, you name it, they got it. And he will be the first Royal position player to debut 1 year after being drafted since some guy named Bo Jackson in 1986.
All right, a lot to unpack there. Jac Caglianone, of course, one of the top prospects in baseball. The Royals' top prospect, rated at least 15 or higher in most major prospect rankings. The Athletics' Keith Law has him at number 13. And he, like Jaylon said, debuts today after spending less than a year in the minor leagues. The Royals drafted him with the number 6 overall pick in the 2024 draft last year, right before the Cardinals took J.J. Weatherholt at number 7. So couldn't have been a Cardinal if not for that pick. But when you look at who Jac Caglianone is as a prospect, I think you're looking at one of the most true power bats, and not just his draft class, but all of the minor leagues. He spent, just 15 games in AAA before being called up. Give us a scouting report on Mr. Jac.
Jac Caglianone, his skill set is massive. When he hits a baseball, it has a different sound to it. We talk to a lot of guys, and it's a unique sound that really rivals the grace of our great sport. But for the Royals to be successful in bringing Jac Caglianone along slowly and efficiently, he has to work on his chase rate. That's been the key for him, and that's part of the reason why he kind of slid in the draft last year. But he's been doing great. He's hitting over 300 in AAA in the minor leagues. And when you put up 15 home runs and over 50 RBIs in about 50-game stretch between AA and AAA, I think that might cause a concern for you to come up to the big leagues.
Yeah, that'll definitely play. But, honestly, Jaylon, let's cut to the chase. The Royals didn't necessarily want to expedite Caglianone's path to the big leagues, right? But part of their calling him up is not just because he's been raking in AAA, but because the Royals themselves find themselves in a place where the offense really just has not been clicking. They are 31-29, but 4th place in the AL Central. We'll get to that division in a second. But what I think really stands out about this Royals club is that they've scored the 3rd fewest runs in the majors. The offense has been a problem. Two-part question. How will Jac help this lineup? But also, do you feel like the last thing you want to do when you're an organization is put a ton of pressure to perform immediately on your top prospect? Do you feel like that's going to be the case here?
I think for the Royals, they want Jac to just be himself. Royals manager Matt Quatrero always says, you got to knock down the door, and you have to force your way to the big league. Well, Jac Caglianone forced the Royals' hands. They did not really want to bring him up at this present moment. They wanted him to get more seasoning in AAA, face pitchers multiple times, adjust to different pitch types that he's going to see. But the Royals offense, they need him right now. The last 2 games of their recent series at home, they only scored 1 run in 18 innings. That can't happen. You have a lineup with Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez, and all-star candidate Michael Garcia that's having a breakout season. Something has to click. And for those guys, you need a spark. You need some thump in the middle of that lineup. You have a lot of guys that can hit singles, and they weren't driving runners in when they were in scoring position. That's why Jac Caglianone is here in St. Louis today.
And we saw that a little bit in that series in early May or mid-May when the Cardinals took on the Royals. And to me, I think with the Royals, you're always going to get a well-pitched series. It's similar to the Cardinals just coming back from the Rangers. And I know I spent an entire episode, Cardinal Territory, talking about how the Rangers never scored runs and then they thumped the Cardinals. Okay, whatever. I'm going to try not to curse them this time. But when you're looking at where the Royals are and just how heavy this AL Central division is, I don't think I've ever said that sentence before. I mean, you have the Tigers, the Guardians are right in it. How do the Royals feel any pressure? I know it's June 3rd, but we're a third of the way through the season to kind of stay afloat with those guys in front of them?
I think, and this is my honest opinion, I really feel like the Royals saw what the Tigers did to them this past weekend, and they realized the gap that they have to cover in the AL Central. where right now the Tigers are running away with it, and the Royals, who were considered to be top contenders this season coming in, they are in fourth place. And that can't happen if you want to have aspirations of getting back to the division and winning it and also making the playoffs. That was the whole thing this all season. We got to make it to the playoffs. We got to win the division. We got to go further than we were last year. Well, is not going the way they want to go right now. Granted, they are over 500. Granted, they are still in the thick of things, but they want to be at a different spot, a different environment, a different level, I should say. And the only way they can get there is by making a change. They tried everyone that they possibly could think of in the minor leagues. They made changes. MJ Melendez is in AAA. Hunter Renfroe is no longer on the team. They still haven't found that bat in the lineup. So that is where they have to, hit the red button and call up Jac Caglianone, and let's see what can happen.
And here he is. I don't think the Royals have released their lineup as we record this around 2:30 p.m. before Tuesday's game, but do you fully expect him to be in the lineup today?
I fully expect him to be in the lineup. I don't see a world where he doesn't be in the lineup when he gets called up, top prospect. That got to play him,
Well, I know as reporters, we're objective. Mm-hmm. I get it. But when you have a circumstance like this, a top prospect in baseball, a first-round pick, do you sit back and just really, after when you're done with work, of course, just really appreciate what you're seeing? I love debuts. I just think they're so much fun.
Yeah, I do. And you got to realize, talking to Jac Caglianone, his father, his high school coaches, everyone that's connected to him, they all know that this was possible. They all felt this was possible. They realized that he just needed to be in the right situation, in the right environment, and you're seeing what you can see. When a guy hits 9 home runs in 9 consecutive games in college at the University of Florida, I think the power is going to translate just fine. It's going to be the other things. Can he handle the ups and downs, facing pitchers that aren't going to throw him meatballs or pitches that he can just hit over the fence? A lot of movement. Maybe it's a sweeper, a slider, a cutter, a changeup. There's a whole bunch of dynamics that go into this. And he's learning a new position. He's going to be in the outfield. We also have Vinny Pasquantino at first base, so he has to learn that. All that is going to come into play for a 22-year-old, but this guy was throwing 98 miles per hour as a high schooler off the mound. He's 10 home runs, 500 feet. I promise you, I think he's going to be just fine when he gets his feet ready before the Royals.
All right, one last Caglianone question, because you mentioned the position change. Came up as a first baseman, but has spent a lot of time with longtime Royals coach Rusty Kuntz. That is an actual name, Cardinal Territory fans, behave yourselves. And he's done a lot of work in making sure, Kauffman Stadium, that's a big place to play in the outfield. What have you seen and heard defensively about what's been going on there?
For Jac, it's all about making sure that he has the right mentality to be in the outfield. He's played the position before. I talked to his dad. He said when he was younger, they would work out every day and he would hit multiple buckets of balls from in the outfield. So he's not foreign out there. He knows how to position himself, be in the right area at the right time. But the question is going to be, can he do it at the big league level? And that is where the Royals have continued to put in different outfield coaches and things like that just to get him up to speed and get him ready. He was playing the outfield 3 to 4 times a week in the minor leagues. Now he's going to be out here asked to play it every day for the Royals. And it's going to take some growing pains, like I said. They're going to probably have to use a defensive replacement for him late in the games until he gets his confidence and they're sure that he can handle it down the stretch. But the bat is what the Royals said they always liked about him from the moment they drafted him. They said the bat will play and the bat will get him to the big leagues, and it got him here in 11 months. So it looks like they were right in that regard.
That'll definitely play, and Cardinals fans obviously very familiar with taking a top prospect and turning him into an outfielder. Does the name Jordan Walker ring a bell? I think if you're Royals fans and have some rightfully high expectations for Caglianone, just remember it's a big adjustment from AAA to the major leagues. And when you're learning a brand new position, Cardinals fans saw it with 2 years of Jordan Walker. There are going to be some ups and downs defensively and, of course, offensively too. But today, locked in at Busch Stadium for one of the most exciting debuts in baseball this year. We'll preview more of the Cardinals-Royals series coming up, but first a quick message from Arena Club.
FT fan by now, if you're buying, selling, trading, collecting cards, Arena Club is the spot. We've been talking about them all season long, but I do want to focus on the slab pack experience, Kratz, since you've been ripping some slab packs digitally. And what happens?
As a kid, you wanted to rip open the packs. How can they do this digitally? Oh, baby. This is exciting. How the graphics come out and everything. And, oh, yeah, the card that you pull, you can actually get that, John, physically So it's perfect. It's all in one place, and it's a super exciting experience.
Yeah, they send that to you from the vault if you want it. But if you look at it and you're like, it's not the card for me, I want to sell it back, go for it. You can do any of that on Arena Club, and you can acquire the best value for your money with those slab packs, transparent checklists, and Arena Club's Slab Safe program. Right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/FAL and use code FAL. arenaclub.com/FAL, use code FAL.
So for those of you who would like to learn more about Jac Caglianone, you can read all about it at the Kansas City Star. Jaylon has covered it extensively, and there'll be much more to go after tonight's game. But let's talk a little bit about this Cardinals-Royals series. I mean, this is not the first time we've seen them, of course. It's been again about 2 weeks, like I said. But I'm curious to know what your opinion was about the Cardinals when you saw them in May. I mean, they were in the middle of the heater during that. What was your impression?
Don't hit to Nolan Arenado at all at third base. He's a vacuum over there. I don't know how you guys just have a third baseman of that quality and that talent.
Well, they almost didn't. They tried to trade him away.
But the Cardinals play great defense. They play sound baseball, and I think that is the key for being able to make a deep run in the postseason should the Cardinals get there. For the Royals, it's going to be about just leaning on your principles. You pitch and you play good defense as well. You have a lot of nice guys that are going in this series that potentially can turn the tide. To be honest with you, this is a big series for the Royals. They have to have a good start to their road trip. They have 3 in St. Louis. They have 3 in Chicago against the White Sox. Then you go home and you got the New York Yankees coming in, the Bronx Bombers, and then a sneaky good athletics team, and that is, I call them Sacramento Athletics because they play in Sacramento, but the
represent.
Yes, the Athletics are sneaky good, and they're going to be a tough challenge at the K. So got to win this one. Starts on Tuesday. The Royals are going to be trying to fight their way forward.
And the Cardinals certainly feel that way as well. This is the first, we talked about this in our last episode of Cardinal Territory. This marks 28 games in 29 days. Support went out for me personally. But this is a pretty grueling June, and the Cardinals had a 19-8 record in May, the best record in baseball for that month, and they were rewarded with one of the worst schedules in June. They'll have just 2 off days, one of which was yesterday, one more on June 16th. So they want to get off to a good start. This is their longest homestand of the season so far, 3 against KC, 3 against Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers this weekend, and 3 against an up-and-coming Toronto Blue Jays club. So it will be a big test for this team that, in my opinion, I think the Cardinals have been one of the most surprising teams in baseball. Nobody really had a lot of high expectations for them, myself included, as we know. I wouldn't say I was a hater level. I was just realistic. But, you know, when you have a month like the Cardinals do and you've surged back into contention, I know it's only June, but this is going to be a big month for the Cardinals because what they do in June is going to dictate what John Mozeliak does in July around the trade deadline. And they have been so good at balancing both runway and results. I think manager Ollie Marmol's done a heck of a job in that regard. Now it's a matter of keeping it going. So, Jaylon, when you look at what the Cardinals did at the K a couple weeks ago, to me, I started being a Cardinals believer on that Saturday game. St. Louis beat Kansas City 1-0. They just played a heck of a defensive ball game. And I get back in the clubhouse, and the vibes in that clubhouse were unlike anything I'd seen since 2022 when Albert Pujols was in the clubhouse. It seemed to me that they had really bought in to what they could do on that season based on that win over Kansas City. So what's the vibe like for the Royals right now?
Right now, the Royals, they always have a one day at a pro mentality. They're not going to get too high. They're not going to get too low. But I'm sure when we walk into that clubhouse, and you've seen it with some of the photos, there was Bobby Witt Jr. and Jac Caglianone right on the runway before they got on the plane to come to St. Louis. They are excited. They're ready to bring this kid in. They know that what he can provide can spark this offense. So it's going to be, I'm expecting even more of a heightened sense of just relief, enjoyment, knowing that everyone's called for this kid to be up here. And they're going to do everything they can, from Bobby Witt Jr. to Salvador Perez, the team captain, to Vinny Pasquantino, to shelter him in, bring him in, and allow him to just be himself. Because when that bat, and I promise you, if you come to Busch Stadium this weekend, you hear the sound of the ball coming off of this young phenom's bat, it is different. And it is something that, like I said, rivals Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani.
I personally am just so excited. And it's heating up at Busch Stadium. I know we've had like crazy weather at home for the last 2 months, but we did get a windy but sunny day. So, you know, in June, the balls start flying here finally. So it should be a fun series. Now, the Cardinals and the Royals
Yeah.
have, I think, two of the most exciting shortstops in the game, Bobby Witt Jr., Mason Wynn.
Mhm.
When you're looking at the two, where is Bobby Witt rank in shortstops right now in baseball?
I think he arguably, and this is a totally honest opinion here, I really think he might be the best shortstop in the league right now. And I say that because there are numbers that he put up last year that no shortstop has ever touched. He was the second in MVP voting, and he would have won the MVP if Aaron Judge didn't go off and hit 60 home runs and just be the all-purposing RBI machine that he is in New York. But for Bobby, he is a true definition of a 5-tool player. This is someone that he turns a regular single for a mere mortal into a double just by his speed out the box. I mean, if you see him hit a ball in the gap, you instantly think it's 3. And Bobby, he said it himself immediately. That's his mentality. When I hit in the gap, I'm thinking 3, and he's not going to slow down. I've seen him do so many incredible things. And just the thing, when he first came up in the big leagues, they put him at third base because they didn't believe that he had the ability to, maybe handle shortstop right away. What did he do? He worked on his game, he worked on his craft, he cut down on the errors, and he stayed at shortstop. And the rest is pretty much what you're seeing right now. A 5-tool generational type athlete, can hit for power, can hit for speed. I mean, he had led the league in batting average last year, almost won the home run derby, is the only player with at least 20 home runs in his first 3 professional seasons in MLB history. Never been done. He is someone that is just unique in all aspects of the game. And also, I think one more thing about Bobby Witt Jr., he's the most humble guy that, you can think of. He's always going to be thinking, wondering, helping his teammates every which way.
Well, anytime I see an opposing team, there's usually, unless it's like the Rockies or something, someone that I stop what I'm doing and I just watch one at bat. For example, when the Dodgers come, I will be locked in on Ohtani. Duh. But when the Royals come to town or when the Cardinals go to Kansas City, I am locked in and I try to just watch one at bat objectively from Bobby Witt Jr. and Salvador Perez, which growing up a Giants fan, I remember Salvi Perez in 2014 and 2015. And I remember thinking I just remember thinking in 2014, I'm so glad that he didn't ruin my life. But I just remember thinking, what an exciting career this person is going to have. And now here he is in 2025, a decade later, and he's still such an instrumental piece in this Royals ball club. For Salvi to kind of do the entire cycle from World Series champion to daunting rebuild to now clawing your way back into playoff contention after a very surprising 2024 season, what kind of growth have you seen from him over the last couple of years?
Salvi continues to just be the ultimate leader, the ultimate patriarch, as you could say, of this Royals team, just from what he's meant to the organization. Last year during the playoff run, every player, no matter who we spoke to, they said, we want to do this for Salvi because, like you mentioned, he went through a rebuild. There was times where they had the worst record in their franchise history in 2023, when they only won 56 games. He stayed around. He stuck around. He is Kansas City to the core. Everyone knows Salvi. Everyone loves Salvi. And I think the biggest growth for him is just continuing to be that light for the younger generation that's coming up behind him. That means that he has to just be himself. Doesn't matter if he's having a slump or he's red hot, because he knows people are watching. And look what he's meant to Freddie Fermin, Michael Garcia, young Venezuelan players that have come up after him. He is the stalwart for the Royals. And like I said, Salvi is just Salvi, and there's no debate about that one.
All right, we'll wrap this up pretty soon. Quick, though, a message from our friends at Rhoback. Oh, that's not it. That's my reminder that I need to play the Rhoback ad. Dang it, I was doing so good on the ad reads, guys, but minor setback. Here we go.
The weather is warming up, and with that being said, you need to check out what Rhoback is bringing to the table. If you're a golfer, especially, and you're looking for golf shirts that just have the perfect style and also are soft, they're lightweight, and perfect for the summertime, Rhoback is the spot. Of course, FT's hooking you up with a code for 20% off at rhoback.com. That's FOUL on RHOBACK.com for 20% off all shorts, hoodies, polos, and more.
All right, Jaylon, if you're looking at the Royals right now, obviously we want to see some good things out of Jac Caglianone, but what do you know or what do you think the Royals need to do to take this series again? We're going to see some really well-pitched games. Andre Palante, Michael Lorenzen, game 1, and then I believe Noah Cameron takes them out in game 2 and TBA for game 3, correct?
TBA.
And then Miles Michaelis in game for the second game and Matthew Liberatore for the third game for the Cardinals.
Yeah, the Royals, they have to lean on their pitching staff. That's what they have to do all season. You mentioned Michael Lorenzen. It starts with him. He has to have a better performance than he had his last time out. And I think big crowd, big I-70 series, he could definitely step up and rise to the occasion. I'm really excited about the Wednesday matchup with Noah Cameron. Noah Cameron is a stud. People rave about him. I remember just seeing his growth. He wants the moment. He loves the moment. So I think that's going to be fun to see him pitch. And I think it's going to be a pitcher series between both sides. And that TBA could be Cole Rankins. This depends on how well he's feeling and if they decide to activate him from the injured list.
I wouldn't mind seeing Cole Rankins pitch, but that would again make for a tough test for this Cardinals position playing squad, which up in The Athletic, you can read about how Ollie Marmol is switching up the playing time. You're going to see a little bit more of Nolan Gorman after he kind of rode the bench for the last couple of weeks. Jordan Walker still on the IL, projected to be back very soon within the next week or so. So yeah, you'll see a lot of rotating guys. Nolan Gorman is in the lineup today, playing second base. Brendan Donovan in left field. We'll see how this goes for the Cardinals, but certainly a big test for both the Cardinals and the Royals, and that's my cue to get out of here. You can follow Jaylon. Thank you so much for doing this, by the way. He is available. Hold on, where is it? On Twitter at Jaylon Thompson. Read all of his good work at the Kansas City Star. For Jaylon, I'm Katie Wu. Thanks for watching Cardinal Territory. We'll get back to you later in the week.